The joint trial of Datuk Seri Najib Razak and Arul Kanda Kandasamy on charges relating to the tampering of 1MDB's audit report began with a bombshell. The prosecution will be calling the ex-1MDB CEO to testify against Najib, catching Arul Kanda's own lawyer by surprise. Senior Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Seri Gopal Sri Ram says an application will be made under Section 63 of the MACC Act 2009 to call Arul Kanda to give evidence on the prosecution's behalf. Arul Kanda's counsel Dato' N. Sivananthan describes the revelation as a bombshell as the defence only got to know about it today. After his client gives his testimony, Sivananthan says he will get the court to free Arul Kanda on the abetting charge. Najib's counsel Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, however, argues that invoking the provision is unconstitutional. He says he would be making a submission on this matter. The prosecution in the trial of Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, who is facing 47 criminal charges, will prove that not a single cent of the millions in Yayasan Akal Budi funds entrusted to him was used for the benefit of the poor. Zahid was a member of the Yayasan's Board of Trustees. In her opening statement, Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Raja Rosella Rajatoran said the prosecution will show that Zahid had instead misappropriated the 31 million ringgit and used a substantial amount on settling personal credit card bills and buying road taxes and insurance policies for privately owned vehicles. She said the prosecution will also establish that Zahid had during his tenure as the Home Minister received bribes of 17 million ringgit, further 4.25 million ringgit for gratification, and also proceeds from unlawful activity of 65 million ringgit. At least 35 witnesses are expected to be called. The Transport Ministry has formed a task force dedicated to help the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia in its efforts to regain its Category 1 status. Transport Minister Anthony Locke says this committee will be led by aviation veteran Datuk Kok Suchon. Kok was formerly the DG of the Aviation Authority when it was still known as the Department of Civil Aviation. He will be serving on a pro bono basis. According to Locke, the task force will review the 33 issues raised in the US FAA International Aviation Safety Assessment's findings, which led to the downgrade last week. He says most of the issues raised are procedural and can be resolved within the next 12 months, after which the FAA will be invited to conduct a reassessment. As for CAAM itself, Locke has tasked it with reviewing all its current fees and charges in order to increase revenue. This would, among others, enable it to improve its remuneration packages, one of the concerns highlighted in the FAA review. The Aviation Authority operates at a budget of 350 million ringgit per annum. Annual revenue, however, stands at 120 million ringgit. Firmin Yaga has secured a 5-year extension for the provision of logistics and distribution services to the Ministry of Health to end on December 31, 2024. It has also gained a 25-month interim extension for the provision of medicines and medical supplies to MOH facilities starting December 1 this year till December 31, 2021. Firmin Yaga Managing Director Datuk Farshila Emran says the pharmaceutical company is thankful to the government for continuing to place their trust in it and for their recognition of its performance in delivering services for the benefit of the rakyat. MOH previously said Firmin Yaga's contract would be extended at least until a replacement open tender mechanism is in place. Rakuten Trade expects the FBM KLCI to trade at about 1630 points at the end of this year, driven by banking and plantation shares and as fund managers window dress their portfolios. Its head of research, Kenny Yee, believes Malaysia's blue chip stocks are under-owned by foreign funds. Banking stocks, for one, should pick up given their current low base. Yee says Rakuten is expecting foreign fund inflow into the Malaysian stock market in the first quarter of next year. Some sort of window dressing is also seen taking place over the next 1.5 months. The research house expects the benchmark composite to improve to 1750 in 2020 based on the 16-time market PE. Yee is also hoping that Bank Negara will maintain the OPR at 3%. He says the attractive interest rates differential between Malaysia and its regional peers should encourage the inflow of foreign funds, thus the spillover effect on equities.